One climber is dead, 5 others had to be rescued after a rock fall at Mount Rainier National Park. One person was killed, 2 others were injured and had to be flown off the mountain. The remaining 3 were stranded but not hurt.
Right now, as you're watching this video, 80,000 people are living their lives in the shadow of a ticking time bomb. They're making dinner, tucking their kids into bed, completely unaware that beneath the ice of Mount Rainier, something catastrophic is stirring. What they don't know is that scientists have been tracking disturbing changes deep within the mountain, changes that could unleash a wall of destruction moving faster than a freight train. The sirens started wailing across the Puyallup River Valley just after midnight. Within seconds, emergency dispatchers in Pierce County were drowning in calls, hundreds per minute. Panicked voices reporting the same thing, a rumbling that wouldn't stop. But this wasn't an earthquake, this was something far more terrifying. Deep beneath Mount Rainier's summit, a deadly transformation has been occurring for thousands of years. Hot, acidic water has been eating away at the mountain from the inside, turning solid volcanic rock into something resembling wet clay. Scientists call this process hydrothermal alteration, and it's created a nightmare scenario that keeps emergency planners awake at night. The Sunset Amphitheater, a massive horseshoe-shaped depression on the volcano's western face, contains over 260 million cubic meters of this weakened, rotting rock. That's enough material to bury entire cities. And here's what makes your blood run cold. This unstable mass sits directly above the Puyallup River Valley, where families sleep peacefully in towns built on the debris of previous catastrophes. When acoustic sensors buried in the mountain's flanks detect movement, emergency management computers explode with alerts. The Mount Rainier Lahar detection system, a network that's been waiting silently for its moment, suddenly springs to life. But by then, it might already be too late. What makes Mount Rainier uniquely deadly isn't lava or ash, it's ice. This volcano carries more frozen water than every other Cascade volcano combined. 25 glaciers grip its slopes, holding an entire cubic mile of ice and snow. When that ice mixes with collapsing rock and volcanic heat, it creates something that moves like wet concrete but travels at highway speeds. Scientists call it a lahar, a rapidly moving slurry of water, mud, rock, and debris that obliterates everything in its path. Past lahars from Mount Rainier have reached speeds of 80 kilometers per hour near the summit. Even in the lowlands, they maintain lethal velocities of 30 kilometers per hour. In confined valleys, these flows have reached depths of 150 meters. That's taller than a 50-story building. The evidence of past devastation is buried beneath the very ground where people now live. 5,600 years ago, during the Osceola event, roughly 3.8 cubic kilometers of Mount Rainier's summit simply collapsed. The resulting lahar swept down the White River Valley with apocalyptic force. It filled canyons deeper than skyscrapers are tall. It spread across 550 square kilometers of lowland, reaching what is now Tacoma and Kent. The prehistoric shoreline of Puget Sound vanished beneath meters of volcanic debris. Indigenous communities that had thrived in the region for millennia were erased in hours. Archaeologists discovered their settlements near modern-day Enumclaw buried under 23 meters of sediment, entire civilizations entombed in mud. But here's what should terrify every resident of the Puyallup Valley. The electron mudflow that occurred just 500 years ago happened without any volcanic eruption. No ash clouds warned of danger. No lava fountains signaled catastrophe. The mountains simply let go. A portion of that same Sunset Amphitheater collapsed spontaneously, sending a wall of debris racing down the valley. The flow reached depths of 30 meters where it entered the lowlands. Old-growth forests were ripped from the earth. The valley floor was buried under 6 meters of debris. And today, the town of Ording, home to 9,000 people, sits directly on top of that ancient destruction. Climate change appears to be accelerating the danger, though scientists are still racing to understand exactly how. Since 1896, Mount Rainier's glaciers have lost more than half their total mass. 3 glaciers have disappeared entirely. The summit itself has dropped by more than 6 meters as ice melts away. Every year, more unstable rock is exposed to the elements. Meltwater penetrates new cracks, potentially lubricating the surfaces where catastrophic failure could begin. The weight that's been holding the weakened western flank in place is literally melting away year by year. In Ording, families have learned to live with monthly siren tests. Every first Monday, 42 outdoor speakers wail across the valley, a reminder that death looms above them. New residents, drawn by affordable housing and stunning mountain views, often discover the Lahar zone designation only after moving in. Their children practice evacuation routes twice a year, walking 2 miles to high ground because emergency planners know the roads will become death traps within minutes. The elementary school sits squarely in the projected inundation zone. Mathematical models show that a large lahar from the Sunset Amphitheater could reach the town in as little as 40 minutes. Some scenarios suggest even less time. Families keep bags packed by their doors: shoes, water, medicine, documents. Some sleep with windows cracked to hear the sirens. They know that when the mountain moves, seconds will determine who lives and who dies. The evacuation plans assume perfect conditions: immediate warning, instant response, clear roads. But emergency managers' worst nightmare is what they call a no-notice lahar, a collapse that occurs without volcanic activity, detected only when acoustic monitors sense the flow already racing downslope. In that scenario, communities closest to the mountain have perhaps 15 minutes. Roads will clog within 5. Bridges become bottlenecks, then tombs. Pierce County has invested millions in evacuation infrastructure, but simulations reveal a harsh truth. Even with perfect compliance, some residents simply cannot reach safety in time. The warning system is sophisticated, but it detects movement that has already begun. It cannot predict the future. During a recent earthquake swarm, hundreds of small tremors rattled the summit over several days. Monitoring equipment captured every event, yet scientists admitted they couldn't predict whether the swarm would escalate or fade. Such swarms occur regularly at Mount Rainier. Most resolve harmlessly, but which one won't? The domino effect of a major lahar would cripple the region. Power substations serving hospitals sit in the hazard zone. Water pumping stations line river corridors that would be inundated first. The port of Tacoma, one of the West Coast's largest container ports, lies within the extended flood zone. A debris flow reaching Commencement Bay could paralyze shipping for months. Sediment would destroy salmon habitat and contaminate water supplies for years. The Washington State Department of Natural Resources estimates potential damage at $40 billion, not counting lives lost. Mount Rainier ranks among the world's most dangerous volcanoes due to its perfect storm of risk factors: extreme height, extensive glaciation, active hydrothermal alteration, and those densely populated valleys below. Large lahars have reached Puget Sound lowlands at least 11 times in 6,000 years, roughly once every 500 years. The electron mudflow occurred 500 years ago. The statistics are sobering. Researchers calculate roughly a 1 in 10 chance of a lahar reaching populated areas during an average human lifetime. But probabilities mean nothing to the families living in the crosshairs. Scientists cannot predict when the next collapse will occur. They cannot guarantee adequate warning. They don't know if current unrest will escalate or fade. The mountain keeps its secrets. The detection system surpasses anything that existed in 1985 when Colombia's Nevado del Ruiz erupted. Mudflows buried the town of Armero, killing 23,000 people who waited for evacuation orders that came too late. That tragedy revolutionized volcano monitoring and directly inspired the systems now protecting Mount Rainier's communities. Yet the fundamental vulnerability remains. When the mountain moves, time becomes everything, and it runs out faster than anyone can prepare. Right now, data streams from the Cascades Volcano Observatory are scrutinized by scientists worldwide. Every tremor, every thermal anomaly, every millimeter of ground deformation is logged and analyzed. The patterns show restlessness, but restlessness doesn't always mean catastrophe. Mount Rainier has stirred before and returned to sleep. The question haunting every monitoring session: is this the precursor to the next electron, the next Osceola, or merely the mountain shifting as it has countless times? For now, the sirens are silent. Acoustic monitors show only ordinary glacial melt and seasonal debris. Families in Ording, Puyallup, and Sumner continue their routines, trusting the systems designed to protect them, believing warning will come in time. But above them, the weakened rock of the Sunset Amphitheater hangs suspended, saturated with water, corroded by acid, held only by friction that scientists believe weakens as glaciers shrink. The ice continues retreating. The hydrothermal system continues its patient destruction. The mountain's weight presses down on foundations that grow more fragile with each passing season. If that western flank fails tonight while 80,000 people sleep in the valley below, how many will reach high ground before the concrete river arrives? How many will hear the sirens in time? How many will become part of the next layer of debris buried beneath the communities that will inevitably rebuild in the shadow of the mountain? The clock is ticking, the mountain is waiting, and somewhere deep beneath the ice, the next catastrophe is already taking shape. That's it for today, folks. See you in the next video.